New tariff talk from the Trump administration reigniting the trade war and sending a shock through global markets. The renewed threats announced on social media hitting Apple with 25% tariffs unless the company brings manufacturing to the U.S. and the European Union with 50% tariffs after talks were going nowhere, according to President Trump. Take a listen.
Well, they're just very slow moving. I've been saying to everybody, they've treated us very badly over the years. It was formed in order to hurt the United States, in order to take advantage of the United States. We have some really amazing deals, but the European Union, I mean, the sole purpose was really not to hurt us, but to take advantage of us, and we're not going to be taking it.
Joining me now are Courtney Brown of Axios, and here in studio is CNBC's Melissa Repko. Courtney covers the global economy and financial markets. Melissa follows consumer trends and retail and their influence on the economy. No shortage of things to talk to you both about. So, Courtney, you wrote a piece Friday. Trump's trade war de-escalation is over, parenthetically, for now. These new 50% tariffs targeting the EU, they are way higher than the original tariffs imposed back in April. So what's your reaction to the jump?
I think that my sources and personally myself are trying to figure out, is this the so-called art of the deal? Is this a truth social threat to get the Europeans to the table? We know they're sending a trade delegation to Washington this week. Or does President Trump really intend to impose tariffs of 50%, which would really, really hurt the European Union? And it would hurt U.S. exporters that send goods to the European Union. I don't know if this is part of some larger plan. I mean, none of us know. That's the problem. I think there's so much uncertainty about what is a threat and what is intended to actually go in place.
Yeah, well, I'll say uncertainty. I mean, that is no friend at all to economic prospects, that's for sure. Let me ask you about the 25% tariffs to Apple on the iPhones. What would that look like? I mean, first of all, bringing it back to the United States, wouldn't that take years to do?
It would, Alex, and it's very costly. Not only are you setting up factories, you're also paying higher labor. Wedbush Securities estimated that an iPhone would cost $3,500 if made in the U.S. That compares to the retail price today of $1,100 for an iPhone 16 Pro. So it just puts it into context there, and that's exactly why analysts say it makes more financial sense for Apple to just stay put and to pay that 25% tariff if it comes into being.
And again, years to make it come to fruition.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a specialty skill.
Yeah.
It's not something you can just teach people overnight.
So, Courtney, you talk about a spreadsheet circulating throughout Congress on just how much tariffs are putting retailers in a bind. What is this tariff era math telling us?
I know when you hear Excel spreadsheet, maybe you aren't so excited, so thrilled, but this Excel spreadsheet in particular has been circulating around the Hill among congressmen, among Hill staffers. And basically what it shows is a hypothetical, almost balance sheet income statement for a retailer that produces shoes. And it breaks down line by line all the expenses associated with importing a shoe from China. And it shows that this hypothetical retailer has no wiggle room. There are no more things to cut if they do not pass tariffs on to the consumer. Even with shoestring margins, as this spreadsheet shows, there needs to be something passed along to the consumer, or that small business needs to lay off workers. It needs to maintain its cash somehow to import the next batch of goods from China. It needs so much more cash now to keep on hand to import goods that would normally cost this hypothetical retailer a smaller amount of money.
Okay, that is a hypothetical small business, right? Opposite of Walmart.
Yes.
The president has clapped back at Walmart and said, you guys just need to eat whatever it is that happens here. Let's keep this, what's he say specifically, eat the tariffs. Don't charge value customers anything. I'll be watching and so will your customers. How long can they do that? To what extent will they do that? What's your sense?
Walmart, in a statement in response to President Trump, said we are going to try to keep prices as low as we can. That being said, it has a duty to shareholders as well. If profits go down, the stock price goes down. And so they have to be mindful of that as well. And they are the nation's largest grocer. Groceries are notoriously a very thin margin. They bring in bananas and coffee and avocados from other parts of the world that now face these 10% tariffs, not to mention the 30% on TVs and toys and things coming from
Everything
China.
from China, yeah.
And so with that in mind, that's why Walmart's CFO said we can't eat these costs. Basically said prices are coming. They're going to be higher for consumers as soon as later this month.
So to you, Courtney, now, if we look at a 50% tariff on the European Union, it certainly comes as a major surprise for our second biggest trading ally. A headline from the New York Times reads, Europe's been negotiating by the book, but Trump's tearing it up. The EU has been treating the U.S. as an ally, while President Trump has not. What is your assessment of these different approaches, and how does it influence any future negotiations?
We know that Trump officials will publicly badmouth Europe and the difficulty that they sense Europe is bringing to them when it comes to trade negotiations. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick told Axios at an event this week that, the European Union was just, quote, impossible, unquote. And I think he's using that to juxtapose with other trading partners that he says that, consumers can expect trade deals with sometime this summer. But I think that that's not the only official that has gone out of their way to single out the European Union as, difficult to hash out a trade deal with. To their point, it is a block of 27 countries with different, priorities on the trade front. But as you say, this is an ally. This is not a relationship, like the one we have with China that's adversarial. I mean, this is an ally that in normal times we should be able to come to the negotiating table with and hash out some sort of deal.
Yeah. Give me a sense quickly, Melissa, of how quickly people will feel the tariffs, and if you think there's going to be a surge to buy now before they're all implemented.
Well, Walmart has said they're coming in the next few weeks and into the summer. Target's been a little cagier and hasn't specified on timing, but said it will have to adjust price, which means they'll go up. But it's worth noting that except for big ticket items like an iPhone now or cars, people generally respond to this uncertainty by staying on the sidelines. And that's the risk here, that the stock market went down on Friday, not only because investors have jitters again about this trade war escalating, but because they know that consumers have tended to get nervous when they don't know what the future will hold.
Understandably so.